Who was saying that? At that point, he said yes. An emphatic yes. But with a very strong caveat that this should not be done in a way that displeases God. I think there's a typo there, right? That it will not be done in a way that displeases God. So definitely yes, that should be important. The next big question will then be, how should a Christian dress? Is there a dress code for Christians? Is there a way somebody will look and you say, this has to be a Christian? Let's take some examples here. It's a Bible study, so I can ask a question. Who can guess the profession of the first man on the left? Okay. Somebody say a minister of God, somebody say a banker, somebody say a lawyer. So we have ideas, right? I don't even know. I'm just wanting to stimulate your mind. What of the person on the right, the lady on the right? Somebody say no, somebody say a doctor, right? But we are in agreement that it's likely a medical person. Okay? So let's go to another slide. Okay, that man there, what do you think will be profession? Okay, say a journalist, a presenter. I think we are at least in the same direction. You see, what has happened so far is that we are guessing almost in the same direction. What of the lady on the right? That's an engineer. We are anonymous on that. That's an engineer, right? And then, let me see. Do we have other examples? No. What of the lady by the left? Yeah? What does that mean? Let me say corporate. Okay, all right. No, it's fine. Let's come down. Okay, all right. We have a kind of a direction, right? And these are what we call dress codes. Even in the standards of the world, for people who care the image they project, they have dress codes. As a matter of fact, bankers will tell you that I know the Diamond Bank is either blue shirts or one other color of person is a Christian. We'll come to that. On that, I want us to, we started defining, I told you this thing has definition and a bit of analysis. So we talked about physical appearance and we'll come to a conclusion. I hope you believe that, right? Now let's specifically go into dressing. Let's take some as a word. Say it's correct or socially acceptable behavior and clothes representing some cultural value. That's a Cambridge Dictionary. Then Webster said it's propriety in dress, in speech or conduct. I think the word conduct has come up so many times. That's Webster Dictionary. As regards dressing, modesty pertains to attires which are suitable and proper for the occasion. So modesty has to do with, is this okay? Culturally, or however you look at it, traditionally, is this an acceptable wear for men and women? I had a similar topic for youths on some indecent dressing. And I'll give them an example. I say that if you're a young lady and you want to get married, and your fiance is taking you to go and see the grandmother in the village, will you wear trousers? This is not whether it's acceptable or not, but you're going to meet a grandmother. Will you wear trousers? It's not, except you are not interested. You are looking for a way to tell the young man that you're not doing it again, right? Because it doesn't make any sense at that point in time. Grandmother in the village is not the one who start lecturing whether trouser is okay or not. I was telling them that growing up, as a standard, if you wore trousers to my house to come and see any of my sisters, that's the last time you are going to come. My dad is going to call them and warn them, I don't want to see this person in this house again. But I grew up a long time ago. Right? So, but then it was not a question of, hey, should it be okay, should it not be okay? We knew then that women should not what? Wear trousers. That's what we are calling modesty. Right? Is this polite behavior that follows accepted moral standards? When I was talking about modesty, I was talking of cultural, I was talking of values, right? But this instance, I'm talking about moral standards. What seems to show respect for other people? That's Oxford Learner's Dictionary. So as we get dressing, then, when we start talking of whether a dress is decent or not, it tends towards avoiding revealing or provocative dresses. Right? So when something is decent, it should not be revealing, it should not be provocative. So, and that's whatever is indecent is indecent anywhere. It has nothing to do with culture. Just as some cultures are indecent, right? I'm sure some of us have seen clips of all those carnivals in Brazil and all of that. That's cultural for them. But it's indecent that women can actually bare their bodies in the name of culture, right? Why that is acceptable to them is indecent because it doesn't have what we consider acceptable moral standards. And I can say that, like I mentioned, there was a time when we know that women shouldn't wear products. You know, what about other things? What about shorts, bomb shorts, mini skirts, low-cut blouses, tight skirts, all those things that are being acceptable, right? And what about the men? Should also concern about how they dress. Are they around to sag like some people do today and say that's what is in vogue? And should they go about without shirts? We come to all of this. This is just a definition. Another challenge is providing technical specifications. You know, the Bible is not in the level of detail of telling you how high or how low. It should not be more than 1 inch below or one inch above the knee. We don't have those examples that way, right? However, we will see that the Bible actually has standards for us. The other word there is shamefacedness. Shamefacedness is in King James. We'll see that, read that. But what does it mean, shamefacedness? When you have the ability to feel embarrassed, when you have a sense of shame or honor, you know, when you know that I cannot do this, I cannot see myself being in this situation, right? And of course, not having the ability to feel shame is a problem. When you cannot feel shame, when you have the capacity, don't have the capacity to be ashamed of things, is a problem. Then lastly, let's look at godliness. Then we'll go into this. Godliness is the awareness of God's sovereignty over every aspect of life, right? Recognizing that at the end of the day, we'll rather do what God wants. That's godliness. So godliness is acting. We focus on God, and also we focus on eternity. Right? Is this okay? Will this take me to heaven? That's what godliness is about. And we saw that example where there was a comparison between what is acceptable but ends here and what is good, godly, and that will take us to what? Eternity. Talking about spiritual exercise. Beyond style and fashion, a Christian should consider other important factors such as what I'm wearing. Is it modest? We define modest, right? Is it modest? Is it decent? Does it in any way lack in morals? Does it profess godliness? Can someone see you and say that you have godliness in you? Right? There's a challenge where we begin to start knowing, because the society continues to change, right? In a changing society, we start trying to find out what is modest or what is not modest. But thankfully, the Bible has provided us some basic principles that can help us discern between good and evil. And if we use God's words instead of the standards of the world, I think we'll be fine. Right? I think we'll be fine. So let's look at some biblical principles on Christian dress. Okay, time. We are doing well with time. We'll do some reading, no worries. Number 1 says, our spiritual dress code should be prioritized. Can we project the book of 1 Timothy chapter 2 and read from 9 to 10?
In like manner also, that the women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with priority and moderation, with propriety and moderation, not with braided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly clothing, but which is proper for women professing godliness in good works.
Okay. I think there's a version that says, not with braided hair, or gold or pearls or in clothing, right? There's the one that didn't add costly. I can't remember the version, right? And I was trying to draw something out. This is not an outright commandment to say that women cannot have gold or pearls. Traditionally, has always been a way of beautifying themselves. Because if that's the outright commandment, then we cannot then say that women cannot have clothes, right? But the Bible there is saying that you need to be modest. That's why I started by defining modesty. Is this worth it? Does it really matter? Do I need to go to this extent? Is this okay? And all of that. To take the judgment. Is it decent? Is it godly? Right? Let's three-way test. Is it modest? Is it decent? Is it godly? Let's read the next one. 1 Peter 3, 3 to 4.
But let this be.
No, hold on. I want us to project it. 1 Peter 3, 3 to verse 4. Please, that's why I don't do a lot of reading. I don't want it wasting time. Yeah. Continue.
Most adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of pleasing the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel.
Okay. That's verse 3, but hold on. Just what I was saying earlier. He says, your adorning should not be. No, go back to 3. What's going on? First Peter 3, 3 to 4, please. I don't know how we got to James. Okay. He says, who's adorning? What's adorning? What you wear. Right? Let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting of hair, or wearing of gold, or putting on of apparel. So if they are saying plaiting of hair or wearing of gold is forbidden, we are equally saying they are wearing of clothes is also what? Forbidden. But he's saying your emphasis should not be on this. But what? Read 4.
Oh. But let it be the little man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornaments of the meek and quiet spirit, which is the sight of God of Israel.
So he's saying that you can see that both what you read in 1 Timothy and what you read in 1 Peter, they are saying the same thing. Both Paul and Peter are highlighting the importance of what? Godliness, importance of good works, the hidden person of the heart. And it says the beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. So our spiritual dress code should be prioritized, should be more important than our physical dress code. The Bible further emphasizes that Christians should wear a garment of praise. Isaiah 61, 3. Put on the full armor of God. Ephesians 6, 10 to 18. Clothe themselves with Christ. Galatians 3, 27. Clothe themselves with compassion. Colossians 3, 12. Therefore, our focus shouldn't be on the physical clothing, but our spiritual values and attitudes. Our attraction as men and women of God should be our character and not our costly apparel. We don't need to wear all the brands, but we need to be branded as peculiar people, God, as holy nation, as the light of the world and salt of the earth. It doesn't need to be a Versace or all of that. But we are branded. We are branded people of God. Principle 2 says it is shameful to expose one's nakedness. It is shameful to expose one's nakedness. It is shameful to expose or draw attention to private parts of our body. Especially of that private parts, usually a form of judgment. When you want to shame the wicked, you can strip them naked, you can beat them in public. That's what it is. It's not what you will now start doing on your own, right? And Paul also made some statements of that. We say one of the marks of insanity One of the marks of not being okay upstairs is to have the desire to remove clothes and go naked, right? The Bible gave an example. I want us to read it. Luke 8:27. Okay.
They said, when Jesus stepped ashore, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. For a long time, this man had not worn clothes.
Fine, I want the first part, right? They were talking about how did they even know? One of the reasons they know that the man was demon possessed was because they say he had no one clothes, right? So being naked in public, even you can see it from the Bible, is a sign that somebody is not well, right? So it is abnormal for someone with a sound mind to prefer to go naked publicly. So when you have the urge to be naked, almost naked in public, you may not be well. Principle number 3 says, there are a lot of Bible passages that we are not reading, but are there for your reference. Provoking lust is clearly condemned in the scriptures. Right? There was something I told them during the youth class when we were talking about indecent dressing. I read of a survey that says that, you know how you do survey, you send out questionnaires and people responded. And the survey says that an astonishingly great number of men are of the opinion that women who are partly dressed are more of a temptation to them than women who are naked. Do you understand what I just said? It is attractive to them more to see women who are semi-nude, right? Maybe expose some cleavages and all of that. They find that more of a temptation than looking at women who are fully naked. That's what that survey says, right? So it's basically saying that you are more of a danger, you are more of a harm, you are more of a temptation in dressing scantily or dressing immodestly, even than when you are naked. So it means that wearing transparent, open, or tight clothes that show or bring out your curves may be more harmful than complete nakedness. So you can as well go without clothes and be less of a danger than dressing in a way that may elicit lust, especially in men. Jesus warned against committing adultery in the heart, and he says that whoever looking at a woman lustfully has already committed an adultery with her in mind. But there are two things there. The man is responsible, right, to guard his mind and eyes from impurity. We have Bible passages. You cannot give an excuse and say, yes, I committed adultery by looking because of what the woman is putting on. You are not excusable that way, right? You cannot say that you are justified after all, like some men that will rape women and tell you, I was tempted because of what she was putting on. There's no way, even the law will not free you of that. But it's just also not a problem that a woman is the one creating that kind of problem for someone else. So you are the one that you have a contribution in ensuring that you don't make people to be staring at you and then committing lust. Okay? Time is going. Number 3 says, Christians should avoid dressing. Okay, I'm still talking about that same one. Say, a woman professing to be godly will not knowingly adorn herself in a way that will excite lust in another person, or that will attract undue attention to herself, right? So clothes we wear shouldn't draw attention, or shouldn't show the shape of our body, or shouldn't show all our curves and all of that, because that can cause lust. So when the slang we normally use, the goal is not to be hot, the goal is not to be sexy, just dress to be modest. And it can be still dressed beautifully and fashionably without drawing unnecessary attention or causing loss for anyone. Principle 4 says, our dress code should reflect respectable apparel. 1 Timothy 2, 9, 10 reads, we read that already. So we are saying that, but we're also saying that Paul is not putting a ban, a total ban on wearing jewelry. He wasn't strictly forbidding jewelry or braids. He was simply saying that we need to curtail it. We need to show some restraint, especially when they're excessive, especially when they're vain. You know, I didn't find this in the Bible, but I keep wondering why are we associating jewelries and gold with women? Maybe before now, it wasn't even a problem for men, right? Maybe Bible didn't even expect that men would be wearing jewelries, right? Maybe we didn't, but now when we are talking about jewelries, we are talking not just about women, but we're also talking about men, all right? So I can tell you, if you're not saying that women should be very modest with this, what do you think would be the instruction to men? So Christians shouldn't wear flashy things or overly expensive things. Tight or revealing clothes, especially in the church. Desire is not to stand out. Desire is not to draw attention to us. Because any woman who professes to be godly will not knowingly adorn herself in a way that we just cause loss. Right? And when we appear well dressed, others will be likely to respect us. There's a saying that says, if you are dressed the way you dress, especially in the church, it's not a fashion show. You are not the attraction. Christ is the attraction. So if you are dressing in a way that once you step in, everybody will know that you are there, there's already a problem. Okay. The last principle says, good motive is not enough. Good motive is not enough. Right? Appearance. When women will normally say, but I did not have a bad motive. That's how I want to dress. I'm not planning to seduce anyone. I'm not trying to. That's how I like dressing. Is that enough that you don't have any bad motive? Does that suffice? Appearance matters irrespective of the motive, right? In Proverbs 7:10, the Bible was talking about a dear woman met him with the attire of a harlot and a crafty heart. Two things are involved there. That woman, even though he said had a crafty heart to seduce, but she also wearing what? The attire of a harlot. Even if the heart was golden heart, the attire already was that of a harlot. Do you understand what we are saying here? So the fact that I don't care, that's not, God knows my heart, that's how I like. If you are wearing a dress or feeling decent, irrespective of how you rationalize this in your mind. You know? So if one has a pure motive and doesn't care about the manner that motive is expressed, it is still a sin. The Bible have it there. Let's read the book of 1 Corinthians 8:13. Okay, before 13, read 9 and then read 13. He said, it should not allow your liberty, your rights. There are things you do that are your rights. You can exercise your rights. It should not allow your rights or your liberty to be a stumbling block to what? Someone else. 13.
Wherefore, if it make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend.
We know the background to that passage, right? When they are discussing whether it's acceptable to eat meat sacrificed to idols. And he was telling them, when they see you in the tent of the idols eating meat, what will an average unbeliever or those who are still weak in faith, how would they feel? Even though it's within your rights, why will meat be a reason why you are causing someone else to what? Humble. Let alone dress. So even if it's acceptable and it has become a bit of a problem, wouldn't you rather err on the side of being conservative? Right? I know situations where probably somebody will point out that someone didn't dress well or not. It's always a fight, it's always an argument. Right? Maybe you are right. Maybe by whatever standard, by whatever law, you can dress that way. But the fact that it's already pointed out is a problem. Wouldn't you say, okay, this is really a problem for this person? Let me do it differently next time. Many years ago, God is my witness, this is true. I had a sermon here, and I used Words, two words that can be confusing. But I was so sure of the word I used because when you write jam those days, there are words, there are things you look out for, right? This was one of those words. I don't want to say it. When I finished, a sister came to me and said, even professors can be corrected and all of that. When you were talking, you say this one instead of this one. Why she was saying that, I knew I was correct. She was the one who didn't understand it. She was the one who is still mixing it up because those are common things you can mix up. When she finished, I said, okay, thank you for pointing it out to me. There was a part that was like, okay, why don't you correct her so she will not be making the mistake? I asked myself, does she need this word to go to heaven? Right? Many times even need to anything I'm telling this sister is now, like I'm trying to do what? Defense. I simply say, thank you very much. Right? Thank you very much. And that was it. When you are strong, you can afford to be weak. It doesn't take anything from you. So a situation when we keep fighting over why would he say this? Like what this? Why would you complain about this? Why don't you just let it go? I remember one occasion, which I know this one I'm calling you out. We had a visiting preacher who came to say something about dressing and all of that, and he was talking. Right now, you now realize that this is not the right thing to do. That's humility, right? Yeah, yeah. Lucky I didn't give examples of where you are not so humble, right? So now, there was another example I can easily give. I have, okay, it's not in this hall. My twin boy is one of those people that are very passionate, even though now that he got in secondary school, they were dictating how they must dress. Then when he will go to Baba's shop, they were pointing out how he wants his hair to be carved. And the mother will oblige him. One day, we got a report from the school that another boy went home and said he wanted to have a kind of Kamsi's haircut. And the mother then took a report to the school and said that haircut is immoral. And the boy would be like 4 or 5 or 6. I can't remember. It was ridiculous, right? That it was an undue influence of his son who wants to have his kind of haircut. The school told us, even though the school is not forbidding the haircut, but for the purpose of leading another boy astray, we went and cut his hair to a normal hair, right? He's within his rights because there's nothing against the school that is saying it should not be. So why then do we go ahead doing all of this, having all of these fights, especially when somebody has a problem with it? Some will say that they will wear what they want to wear. If it affects anybody, they should close their eyes, right? Women say that a lot, and we are the people of God that should be allowing light. We should be promoting light, but the one they want to become blind, you see, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 19:22, to the Jews I became as a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law, I became as one under the law, though not being myself under the law, that I might win those under the law. To those outside the law, I became as one outside the law, not being outside the law of God, but under the law of Christ, that I might win those outside the law. So the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all people, that by all means I might save some. Sometimes we can drop our rights, and drop whatever is within our legal rights, just for the purpose of the other person. So that is what we are trying to say here. So God has given us clothes to wear, not to reveal our bodies. So we should dress decently, modestly, not for sure. We can dress fashionably, not necessarily to be sexy, and all of that. And when we are not sure, why don't we lean towards the more conservative side than the liberal side? When we are not sure, wouldn't we rather err on the side of caution? As less metal as possible, as less, there are some. When you have to notice what the person is wearing before you notice the person, it's a problem. When the lips are so red that it can almost blind you, and before you even see the person's face, it's a problem. When you have those earrings that I don't know if they make it so light because you think they will cut off the person's hair, right? It's a problem. When those things are such like that, it's a problem. Even though Bible has not given us measurements and all of that. But we'll talk about decency. We'll talk about all of this. We'll talk about decency. We'll talk about modesty. We'll talk about godliness. And if all of these at the end of the day will not matter when we go to heaven, why will it be so much of a problem? Right? When we conclude, I've said here that we are ambassadors of Christ. And I give example of those who are diplomats. Diplomats are people from one country sent to represent the interest of that country in another country. They have codes. They have the way they conduct themselves because they don't want to give a wrong impression of their country to another country, right? The same way we are ambassadors of Christ. We don't want to give wrong impression. And I said before that the name Christian we inherited was even given to us because people observe some people and say they are behaving like Christ. Will you not be the one that will now mess everything up, right? So will what we dress, what we put on be so important that we are ready to either give the wrong impression or even lose our soul in hellfire? Is it important like that? We need to be conscious that we represent God. We are not talking about excessive or just looking like village people. I don't have any problem with village people. Looking like whatever in the name of modesty. No, that's not what they're saying. It can be fashionable. It can be well dressed. In fact, there are people that have good sense of fashion. So when you see them, you like the way they dress. But there are rules. The rules are simple, right? It doesn't need to be too tight. It doesn't need to be too transparent. It doesn't need to leave all the cleavages. It has to be well covered. And it doesn't need to be unnecessarily expensive or flamboyant. What's the essence of coming here, dressing in all the designers in the world, when we know that people are hungry? What exactly do you want to achieve? What is the essence of coming here to stand out? And instead of us focusing on Christ and you came to serve, everybody is seeing how beautifully dressed you are. What have you added to yourself? What have you added to the rest of us? If you want to dress like that, then you can as well give us, all of us, resources to be like you. So the question we now ask ourselves at any point in time, I say 3, is it modest? Is it decent? Is it godly? Maybe I could have said, is it even necessary? Finally, like Philippians 1:8 would say, let's read it. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good report. If there's any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, think on these things. I thank you for this opportunity this morning. I have not tried to offend, I've not tried to, but I just try to point out things that I want all of us to look at. And I'm happy to ask questions. But before then, the topic says what? I told you that the topic is a question. Does the dressing or appearance of a Christian really matter, right? If you had been a secondary school debate, I have a moderator, I have an audience. Hopefully, I won't have a panel of judges, right? So the question will now be, with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to come to a conclusion that the answer to this question is what? Yes. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Brethren, good morning once again. I want to believe that we paid keen attention to this message. True, right? Yes. But however, if there is any part of the lesson that you might be struggling with, all right, this is a time for you to ask questions. I have one written question here with me. I have one written question here. So is there any question from this side of the hall? Okay, that's 2 and 3, 4. Okay, that will be all for now. Okay, it seems we have a lot of questions. I can count 6 already. All right, brethren, please, I think it is important for me to say this, right? Please, with all due respect, I would like for you to go straight to your question. All right, go straight to your question. You don't have enough time. As a matter of fact, I am not going to stop you when you are saying it, but you are going to stop another person. Do you understand? So please, let's go straight to your question, please. All right. First question.
Very does expressing or appearance of a Christian matter? Now, at this point, are we going to wait for those of our parents, those ones who have kids, so for their children to be a Christian before we dictate on what they wear? For instance, you said that for a Christian and then for you, you use yourself as an example that you realize that putting on jeans for Sunday service is not too appropriate for dressing very well. But for the teenagers, let's say the little ones downstairs, they can put on jeans. You said something like that. I want to ask, will it not be a proper way of saying training up a child in a way he or she should grow, and when he or she grows up, he will not depart from it? While dressing very well, your kids should likewise follow suit, so that when they grow up, they will like say, "Yes, I met my dad dressing like this while he attends service, so I learned from him, and so that's why I'm doing the same." Likewise, I want to impart to my children dress in this format. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I gave other examples too. I mentioned the kind of thing my dad was doing as regards even the kind of friends that are allowed to visit my sister, right? So what he was doing then was setting examples on what he expects the kids to have in terms of Bible morals. Definitely, it is responsibility of parents, the responsibility of boards, and all of that to make sure that as people are growing up, they are imbibing, the right moral. The Bible says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when they grow, they will never depart from it." Having said that, a particular example I gave: imagine wearing a 2-year-old boy a jean and a t-shirt to children class on a Sunday morning. Will you consider that immodest? There are certain things. Imagine having a grandmother, right? Having a grandmother. This is not the church now. Dressing in a kind of way that you expect only young ladies to dress, right? Some people will say, it's a yuppie grandmother, but there are fellow women with fun at it. They're like, see, yeah, you've passed that age already. So whether I like it or not, when I talk of modesty, modesty has to do with culture. Modesty has to even also do with location, places, and at the same time, it also has to do with age. In fact, in the village, there are certain attires. You expect that, even though it's different now, right? You don't expect young ladies to be trying rapper until they get married. Because the moment you're trying rapper, it doesn't mean that you're assuming a status that you've not gotten up to. Well, whether we like it or not, that is not an example to show that we allow our kids to misbehave. No. So I was talking about modesty, and modesty also borders on age. There are certain things kids can get away with because they're kids. I don't know if I answered it.
Good morning, church. Thank you so much. The book of Exodus, 22 to 12. There's an order God gave to Moses, to the Israelites, how they should be, because they were priests in that Mosaical dispensation. Then now, I'm a priest.
in the kingdom of Christ. I'm a priest in the kingdom of Christ. Is it bad for me to wear a gold chain from my neck to my waist, or having my beard like Reverend King or like Nebuchadnezzar? Is it not modesty? Is it not decent dressing? Then carry my Bible with all this. Is it not modesty in a society as a priest of Christ?
Okay. That's the essence of everything we've said so far, right? That's the essence of everything we've said so far. What we've said so far saying is that it matters how we look. And then with all the example we gave, we try to say that ask yourself three questions. Is this modest? Is it decent? Is it godly? In the course of the lesson, I also said is it necessary, even though I didn't think of that earlier. Right? So everything, the challenge then is mostly where I asked the word, what is the measurement? What is the specification? When God was asking Noah to build ark, he gave him what he had here. For anyone who is godly to know where to draw the line, except you are deceiving ourselves. Right? You will know when this is overly done. You know when this is extra. You will know when this is excessive. Right? Talking about jewelries and all of that, I said earlier that those passages we read thankfully came with clothing. If you are saying that women should not wear jewelry at all, then we are saying that women should not wear what? Gold, clothes at all. So I don't think the Bible says they are forbidden from doing that. But the Bible is saying, know that it is your heart that is more important than how you are shining. Yeah, there's something good in when people are smartly and nicely dressed. It's okay. We're all looking nice and all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. And the way you said, it was even God that told Aaron that he has to dress up properly. And he said, for glory and for beauty. That's the passage you just quoted now, right? So we cannot say that for us to be seen as people of God, we should look like masquerade. No. We have gone to look through all of that to say, no, that's not what God is saying here. But you know when you are going over the line. Talking about gold, maybe I use the word, the less metal, the better, right? We don't need to wear everything everywhere, chain, and I'm saying that the Bible was saying women. It didn't even say men. Maybe it wasn't even expecting men for that to be their problem. All right? Have I answered your question? No, don't worry. What is the concern? Let me know.
Roger, thank you so much. My question is, can Church of Christ leaders, most especially here in Kenya, or is it right to disfellowship a brother or a sister because of immoral dress? Why I ask this? When I brought my wife here, it was a little low when she asked me a question because I made it as a law how you will dress. She now referred to me many Christians immoral, don't have husband. Because I know that Church of Christ, where I give all in Port Harcourt or in the East, many women and men we are disfellowship because immoral is more especially from what they call hierarchy, painting of hand, all the rest of the things. Anyone went to have evangelism, there was a church in Port Harcourt, church in Joe, or Preacher Melodia. The preacher didn't allow us to go out and evangelize, to not dress proper and talk in as a man. So in all these things, if we compare to what I said to other churches of Christ and here, and we have the same church of Christ or we have different churches of Christ based on the doctrine.
Okay, I would have asked you what is the doctrine? Because we read the passages from when Paul was giving instruction. We read passage where Peter was giving an instruction. And we know exactly what he said, right? So what it means, where was he saying this? He wasn't saying this in the street, he was saying it in the congregation. Right? So he was telling the congregants, he was telling the brethren what is considered right. Very likely, even though we are not there, he was likely saying it because he was seeing that people were kind of getting excessive in what the value they place on how they dress. Right? Having said that, where then do we say that once you get to this point, you get this fellowship? So there are a number of scenarios. Scenario one could be that the examples you are giving were where people were unnecessarily conservative. And we've seen that in churches of Christ, when in the East, there were a lot of things that nobody can even prove from the Bible, right? They put it there, oh, this is how we do it. It has to be like, we've always done it like that, we've always done it like that. But you have been unnecessarily conservative. Are we saying that women cannot wear jewelry? No, the Bible didn't say that. We are saying that they should not be excessive in adorning themselves in costly apparels. And I want to say this a bit carefully. Right? Somebody was saying sometime that we normally think that women dress up for men, that women actually dress up for other women. Alright? So when the intention is to come and outshine every other person, you know, and even God knows even your heart. God even knows that this is immoral within you. Whether we find out or not, it doesn't even matter. With you, you have failed the standard of God. Because if you're dressing, is because somebody will say, dress to kill. Kill who? Now, on the subject of disfellowship, I've said it before that if people get disfellowship for doing something wrong, then everybody in this congregation should have been disfellowship at one point or the other. You know, you make mistakes, like, oh, I shouldn't have done things like that. Personally, maybe, I don't know how many times I would have been disfellowship, right? If you get disfellowship for doing something wrong, why do we disfellowship? Because people want to continue in error. The Bible has always given the room for correction. The Bible has already given the room for whatever. If you are saying that, oh, this brother or this sister consistently dresses in a way that portrays ungodliness, in a way that's immodest, and we are calling the person to order, and the person is not listening, that translates to walking disorder. It can be a subject of disfellowship. But I'm not going to say, oh, hey, you, 5 of you, that is fellowship. Look at the way you are dressing. Who gave you that kind of right? So the question is, the thing that happened in Port Harcourt, is it right or not? It could have been overly, what's the word? Being conservative. Where was the room for calling people to order? Where was the room for correcting people? Where was the room for all of that? I don't know. Maybe all that had gone. So the answer here, somebody can get disfellowship for consistently dressing in a way that is ungodly. That's it. Summary.
Okay. Good morning, brother. Morning, sir, for your teaching. My question will subsume in this comment. Just like you said earlier, there are no rules to this thing. For example, when it comes to wearing of jeans, like I said, wearing of jeans are a part of men's wear. However, there are some jeans that, without being told, you are not meant to wear. For example, to church, you can do it outside of your house, or you can, wear it wherever you want to wear it. But to church, for example, there are jeans that are they call it fashion. It is torn like if they use razor to design it zigzag on you. There are jeans that have too many pockets, as if you are carrying a short pistol all around you. There are jeans that are just, without it, you look very irresponsible when you wear it to church. However, there are some jeans that also look like a trouser that you don't even know that it is a jeans unless you are told. And you wear it and you talking and you look responsible and you come to the service. So, however, I just wanted to draw that line as a comment because, like our teacher said, there are no rules. Now, coming to my question, some of us have been privileged to worship outside the country a couple of times. And we see that there, of course, they have different cultures where wearing of these clothes is normal for them. They don't, some of them have been to a place where they wore a short knicker to service.
and they just take it. I mean, it is service. Some of them just wear jeans, just this kind of jeans. I just
And once, please answer.
okay. My question is, how can we now say that they are erring when we put vis-a-vis talking about church autonomy, just like you said, now that other congregation in the East are being overly conservative? Can we say that they are erring in their own part, being that we worship the same, I mean, we of the same congregation, bearing in mind their own different cultures?
Okay, I didn't say the congregation in the East. I didn't say they were being conservative. I said when we look at it, it could be that they were conservative. I wasn't there. I don't know about that. Right now, when I talk about Jean, I didn't say that Jean is indecent in any way. I give an example. I'll be honest. The youth, I've done a lot of youth class. If I show up like this on a Monday, they will assume I was coming from somewhere. That's the reality, you know. Then, a number of times I come to Wednesday class with a T-shirt. If I show up to church in a T-shirt, you'll be wondering if I'm well. See, modesty has to do with occasion, location, culture, right? There are things you cannot wear to your office. I'm basically saying that jean for me is among my casual wear. So I don't think I've worn jean to church in the last 20 years. Because it's among my casual wear, right? And then once I don't want to say this, it was the one I was telling you the other day. I said, you pass the age of wearing jean. I hope your question is just not to tackle me because I say that, right? But jean is not seen as indecent, but it's bordering on the modesty part. Because I feel, if I get a particular age, then it's too casual for a Sunday. It's not written anywhere. That's my view. Now, let's talk about modesty still. There are things that are done in some cultures. I give example of the Brazilian carnival. That's where women will bare-breasted, dance around, and all of that. In fact, in all their glory and all of that, it's their culture. It seems acceptable, modest for them because it's acceptable. That doesn't make it decent. There are cultures that are not decent. And when you talk about abroad, I can tell you there are a lot of madness. I don't want to say things that I will even be caught for questioning, right? There are things you stumble and you're asking, how did people get here? Abroad, you can go to an area, it's a nudist colony. People are allowed to walk around naked in the bay, around beaches and all of that. I have a cousin who grew up in Holland. When the dad was trying to send him back to Nigeria, he told me how he took a walk. He started advising him, telling him about. He was 18. He said that he suddenly started telling him about women. And he looked up, he saw, for the first time in his life, he saw naked women all over the place. Because he was in a nudist colony. His idea, maybe his father's idea was to get the message to sink in. But can you tell me there's anything acceptable about people being naked in public? Because that place is public. But they're not breaking any law. It is considered acceptable and all of that. We can go on and on and on and on. What I define modesty and I define decency, there are things that can be, I think maybe if you want to take it in that order, take it whether this is decent. It bothers the morals. But it can be decent and not be modest. That's why I give the example of the jean. So now ask yourself, should you wear this kind of thing to meet the chief of your village? Should you wear this kind of thing to meet the governor? Should you wear this kind of thing? And if you are feeling a bit self-conscious, so I cannot be dressed like this in the governor's presence, we are discussing modesty. Right? So, like I said, if you're an adult and you do this check and you're sincere to yourself, nobody needs to tell you what is acceptable or not, except you're insincere. They are not black and white rules, but there are rules. Everything we read in the Bible today are rules. They are standards. We can't say there are no rules.
Good morning, church. My question borders on the aspect where
you have to make some sacrifices because of your fellow brother or sister. Knowing that some of us can be very overbearing. So to what extent would you, as a brother or sister, allow another brother or sister dictate what is convenient for you in context which you believe is not wrong? Because we've had situations of persons being accosted or harassed for what they are wearing or what they are putting on. And the persons who have been approached or addressed have at certain points began to see this as a level of inconvenience, knowing that you cannot actually satisfy people because we complain a lot. What you wear at times can be a problem to some people. Even the vehicle you drive, if you listen to some of us at times, even the vehicle you drive can be a problem to some people. But Buchuka was just telling me that for the sake of his faith, I should change my vehicle and bring a pizza to church next Sunday. Right? I've had conversations with Brother Ifeanyi once at some point where he told me that certain persons mentioned that people come up here to come and display the fancy of their laptops like the one you are displaying right now. So, to what extent do you accommodate your brother when you can perceive that they are being unnecessarily concerned about what should not actually concern them? Thank you.
Okay, fair question. Very fair question. And I know I can relate to what you're saying, right? But because this is not, assuming this is like a debate or something, I will ask us to take, there's what we call use cases, right? I'll take examples of where there were complaints. And I'll ask, what were the complaints about? Are you following what I'm saying? I'll take examples of where there were complaints, and I'll tell you, I will ask what the complaints about. In my own case, it's the other way around. The complaints I've gotten, sometimes the youth are telling me that, why am I using this kind of phone? And somebody told me that it's even the same phone I'm using. I said, okay, sorry. That's the one I can buy, right? About 3 Sundays ago, a preacher was telling me that this car, you shouldn't be driving this car anymore. You know, so if you are getting the other kind of comments, you need to check your ways, right? Because my mind is always like, you should come up. You are not up enough. And this laptop is definitely not fancy, not as nice as yours. But having said that, I'll be very honest. We know when there's a bit of truth in a feedback. We know, right? I don't know the examples you have, right? But if I'm going to be accosted over something, and I'm telling myself, okay, first of all, is this thing so important to me? The person is not asking me, why are you wearing shoes? Can I go without shoes when I'm not Jonathan, right? The person is not asking me, why are you wearing a shirt? No. The person is saying, okay, why are you wearing chain in your leg? Why are you wearing all these gold around your neck? Like I gave an example about you, right? And why are you? Don't you know that when you wear this will be interpreted as this way? And I just ask myself, chain, gold, church, what is that? Is that will make me understand the Bible very well that day, or what? To be honest, in humility, I can drop it. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're not telling me that I should give an example, even though I know the example that you gave was a joke, right? You're telling me that why are you driving this kind of car to church and all of that? Shouldn't you know that people who don't have cars will now be wearing spirits and all of that? So we know that doesn't make any sense. So, in as much as some of us have a problem, personal problem we want to transfer to others, right? In as much as there are things we complain that shouldn't be complained about, in as much as there are examples like that, we all know when feedback makes sense. If you're an adult, you know when you can take it, you know when it doesn't cost you to drop it. But what the problem we have is that we have a lot of ego, we have a lot of pride as human beings. You know, so when we are saying, "Oh, who are you to tell me this?" Don't you know? It's a problem. It's not, and like I said earlier, the focus here. This is not a fashion show. This is not where you come, you want to stand out. This is not where you come, you want to be the center of attraction. The attraction to be on Christ. So if you are coming to make everybody know that you are there, then there's a problem. You would have stayed home. If you really sincerely want to be honest, we know one feedback is something we can take out from it. And if it's not going to cost you anything, drop it. I'll be honest. That's what I think. But if you have examples like that, maybe we'll not say, does this make sense? Doesn't it make sense? And when you're in doubt, ask someone else. Ask another brother. If you're in doubt, ask two more brothers and see what they will tell you. I was telling somebody something last Sunday. I said, look at what this person did. You know, is it fair? Should the person treat me that way? Why the person agree with me that it's not fair? As he said, but you should, as a Christian, this is what you should do. Right? What the person asked me to do is not convenient, but I said, look, I'm going to do it. That is the spirit of Christianity. We shouldn't arrogate so much to ourselves that we think that nobody should talk to us. No. That is pride, and pride is not part of the virtues of Christianity.
Yeah. Good morning, brother. Actually, thank you for your blessing. My question is in one of your statements that you make when you talk about dressing expensively. I also mentioned that if you have to wear all that, very fully wear that there are some people who cannot afford those kind of clothes. That why don't you rather give those money to you? Christ said, there's a place in Malachi 1:6 where God Himself said that I'm your master, where is my respect? And times when in church, where we try to tell our brethren that they should dress well to church. And I say, from all the clothes that I have personally, the most expensive ones, they are my native. And usually I wear native to church. Always. So if you dress and you dress to church with your most expensive clothes, have you seen in any way? I want to ask that question because I believe coming to church in your best clothes is also showing respect to God. And I believe if you are trying to check all those three things that you mentioned, in modesty, in godly, and in decency, and you have seemed to have passed those things, is there any other issue rather than the one you talked about, minding those who do not have those kind of clothes? Thank you.
Okay, first of all, maybe I should be caveating some statements I made, right? When I gave that example, I was just giving an example. It's not something I could back up with any scripture. When I say, maybe you can also give us money to be like you, right? In the price, did anybody follow you to the market? There are brands you wear, there are brands that are quiet, they are very expensive, nobody is even aware. So it's not about how much did you buy it. How would you know how much you bought it? It's in the flamboyance. The word is on the flamboyance, it's not on the price. You know, if I'm going to wear earring, it may even be 2,000 naira and is like this. I will see your earring before I see you. Right? It's flamboyant. So why do I want to do things that will be attracting attention to myself? Distracting us. We say that if you want to worship God, you have to worship God in spirit and in truth, right? And we say we are worshiping in truth, but our spirit is not even there because there are a lot of distractions and all of that, murmuring. What have you contributed to that worship that day? You contributed distraction? Is that what you intended to do when you are living in your house? Was that the plan? So it is not on the price of it, right? I also did say that as a matter of fact, we'll say example. Okay. I won't make a comment whether you was decently dressed or not. The class is not for him, right? We see example of the man who went and called everybody for feast. He said, "Come and dine with me," And it was in Matthew 22, and all of that. Say, wherever you are, come. Everybody heard that. He said, but a particular man showed up in a dress that is not a wedding dress. Told him, you are not supposed to be here. Go out. Reality is that while we are saying all of this, we are also not saying that people should not look okay. It's not about, most times, it's not, the cost doesn't, the money most times is quiet. So there are people probably wearing brands, we don't even know the brand because we are ignorant of the brands. We don't care. It's the flamboyance I'm emphasizing on. But the Bible also talks about costly apparel. Things that people like, oh, this person, you are top. This person, that's not why we are coming here. We are coming to worship God. I don't know if I answered your question. Okay, those are the other ones. Okay. Sir, can I, as a Christian sister, put on chains, especially on my legs? That's the first question. No, we've also said it's not allowed to be signed in church, right? So please, all of us should wear this. Then say, should a Christian sister come to church service with trouser into church only to start looking for wrapper to cover the trouser? This is start only to remove the wrapper at the point of closing prayer. What can you tell us based on your teaching today? Okay. All right. The first thing I want to tell you is that I did not roster myself for this teaching. And the other one says, thank you so much for your teaching. It's well understood. What do you think we should do to them that are dressing in that way? Because my eyes are not very good. Maybe you can help me with it.
What do you think we should do to them that are dressing in that way? Because I have been to a church in Christ. We have to look for people that are not well dressed, and the people in church are very for them. Let me finish the question. And the reason of that class is in case any of them is visitor. So that we also will not feel bad. So my question is, what do you think we should do since we know them? Can we create a class for them?
Okay, first of all, we don't have enough space for accommodating the classes we want to accommodate. I can tell you that reliably because I'm in education. So we are not going to create a class. That's the first one. The second thing is, it is tough to draw the line. But I can tell you that sometimes we also on our own overdo this. Right? We will see someone who is a visitor, the person is coming in, and the person around, everybody is already harassing at the door. No, you do this, that. There are ways of doing this. Right? There are ways of doing this. I'm not going to be overly about it. The recommended was doing that the person sits down, maybe the person is not covering hair, or the person, whatever. You have, sometimes you say, okay, let a mature sister do that, right? You either take a head side to that person and say, please, we'll cover our hair here, cover your hair, and all of that. But what if the person is already wearing clothes that are not okay? I don't think we should start hiring, even though we have policemen in our midst here, right? But they are coming to worship. They're not coming to start dragging people out or forcing them out. That will create even more chaos. Because most people may not even notice that person is there, right? I think at that stage, he may just let it slide, right? And give the fact that you have one person not decently dressed does not discredit our worship and become null and void. That's not what it is, right? Maybe that feedback can be given later for next time. That's what I think. We are not going to create special class. So the topic in that class, I guess, will be indecent dressing. Is that what you'll be teaching every Sunday? Or be teaching them how to do what? Because we don't have space, so it's not even the question, right? All right, so let me go back to other one. Sir, can I a sister put on chain, especially on my leg? People keep signing. No, please, let's not be doing that. All right? The person asks a question because the person wants to know. What we call fashion, is a bit subjective. There are ways people want to dress to feel complete. Remember when I started, I gave examples. We are told that we need to conduct ourselves in ways that outsiders, and when the Bible says outsiders, they mean what? Unbelievers, will not misunderstand us. Right? Do you want us to read that passage again? And we then told, okay, it's not just outsider. Paul writing to Timothy said, you should know how you ought to conduct yourself in the house of the Lord, the pillar and ground of truth. So when we say lecture, the question would have been where? Right? It wouldn't have been here because there's no way you wear a leg chain that it doesn't seem completely out of place in the church. There's no way we talk about it. There's no way because it's not how we dress here. Somebody will be looking at you and leg chain and for what? So that one is clear because it didn't mention location. I will let it slide. Now, the question now is, should you be wearing leg chain as part of your fashion when you are going to weddings, when you are going to social functions and all of that? Okay, somebody added as a Christian, right? And that is where we may now pause and say, let's go back again. Modesty, maybe you're not the only one wearing leg chain there, right? So it's probably generally acceptable. Decency is your leg. It's not like you're exposing anything. You know, if you have a problem with your leg, there could be a problem. Godly, unbelievers, if they give somebody who showed some dress code, right? If they give somebody a test and say, okay, there are 100 people here, go around all of them and choose 5 of them that are Christians, right? And the person is going around the room. Do you think they will choose the person wearing an election? So that's your answer. This is the last question, right? Say, should a Christian sister come to church service with trouser into church only to start looking for wrapper to cover the trouser? This is only to remove the wrapper at the point of closing. What can you tell us based on your teaching today? I will extend it so it doesn't look like Christian sister. A number of us dress up somehow up to front of the church, then reduce the level of dressing, come inside the church, go back, and then assume that, and then we start greeting and all of that. The first question I will ask you is, between when you are leaving the church and when you get home, that extra piece of fashion, what exactly is it doing for you, right? Some of us, mostly the men, is about the kind of chieftaincy you want to wear, right? We wear that chieftaincy. It has a hat. You come here, you remove the hat, you come here. Then you go back, immediately step out of it, you wear it again for us to also know that you're a chief. Just that you just removed it for a while. And ask myself, okay, between when you step out and when you go home, what do you want to do with that cap? That's my own question now, and I cannot answer it, right? The reality is this. Let's take this. I think it's better because it begs a question that I will not answer. And I was glad that question didn't come up. But let me bring it up myself, right? In the book of Deuteronomy, I think Deuteronomy 22, project it on the bed. Deuteronomy 22, 8. 8. Let's see what 8 says. Huh? Okay, no. Go back, go like to 5. Okay, all right. Yeah, 5 says.
A woman does not wear men's clothes, nor a man wear women's clothes. For the Lord your God detests anyone who does
Okay, this is usually a controversial passage. Even within my mind, I didn't want it to come up, but now it has to come up, right? And I remember when I had the class on indecent dressing, this came up, and I pointed them out to something. I will do that too in the period of transparency, then I'll give my comments. Go to Deuteronomy 22:9.
do their time. Do not plant 2 kinds of seed in your vineyard. If you do, not only the crops you plant, but also the fruit of the vineyard will be defiled.
Okay, go to 10.
Then, do not plow in an ox and a donkey yards together. Yoke together.
11.
11. Do not wear clothes from and linen both together.
Moving together. Okay. All right. We are still in Deuteronomy 22, right? We went from 5 that says men should not wear women's clothing, women should not wear women's clothing. And it was an instruction. We went ahead and he said you should not plant 2 kinds of crops in the same farm. We went ahead, he said you should not wear 2 kinds of materials on your body. We went ahead, you see, there are almost impossible things for us now, right? And it happened in Deuteronomy 22, the same Deuteronomy. So we go and pick verse 5, we ignore the other ones. So first of all is, this cannot be an instruction that strictly forbids wearing of trousers. And I will come to that. So I don't want to sound offensive. It cannot be, because if we say that, oh, the Old Testament does not apply for us, talk about study to show yourself approved unto God, do we selectively then take passages where specific instructions were given on specific things? We pick selectively the ones that will now apply to us, ignore the other ones. So this is not it, right? But having said that, let's come back on what is acceptable in our culture. Let's come back. I was telling you that it's not about trouser, it's not about skirts, it's not about gown, it's not about anything. You guys can wear skirts. I have micro and mini. When I now said, okay, women should wear skirts, are they supposed to wear the ones that are so tight, or the ones that are so short, or the one that could just show everything about them? Is it that now skirt is better than trouser? What kind of skirt? Can you wear gown? You know, the one that will be open here is a gown. Maybe it's even flowing and sweeping the floor, but you're showing all your cleavages. It's a gown. Does it make it right because you're wearing a gown and you're not wearing a trouser? You see, in every kind of clothes, you can abuse it. Call it, even wrapper, yes. You can just do, there's no kind of clothes you can abuse. So I do not think it's about what it is it. Now, coming about trouser, lawyers will argue and tell you that if I go out there to buy a jean, they have jeans for women, trousers for women, and trousers for men, right? And then you have to be a kind of a man for you to fit in nicely into trousers meant for women, right? I know I will not. I cannot wear my wife's trousers, for example. You know, you will know that this is not meant for obvious reasons. Okay, that's right. So now, if you go to the boutique, they even have clothes, even the ones they're calling trousers, designed for particular people. We saw one woman, and when we were talking about dress code, it was on purpose, right? Look, does anything look indecent about that dress? Right? So I will say modesty. Remember, I give an example when I say when you now wear trousers in whatever nice way it is to go and meet your grandmother in the village, or to go and meet the grandmother of your fiancé in the village. Are you playing with that marriage or you're interested? Because for them, trouser is trouser, trouser is not allowable. Can you wear trouser in the church? No. The answer is no. Why would you wear trouser in the church? Right? It is not acceptable by us. It is not seen as being modest for you as a woman. But can I then say that men must never wear trousers in any occasion? I cannot say that. I cannot find where I can use to do that. But will you become a cross dresser? Will you be Bobrisky when we know whether we will say she is a man or he is a woman? And out of all the problems we are having in this world, you are adding that one to us when we don't know whether you are a man or woman. Are you allowed to now become a cross dresser? Definitely no. But I cannot say there is no woman can ever wear trousers. But wear trousers, wear. You know, that is what I can say here. And I can basically say, not in the church. I don't think it's modest. Even if it's decent because it's not tight, it's not showing anything, it's not showing any curve and all of that, it's not modest. Because this is not the right place to wear it. And I wish with these few points of mine, right, we can end it here. Thank you very much.
All right. Well done. Thank you so much, Brother Chinedun. Brethren, thank you so much for your attention to this lesson. Or let's say we allowed much time because of how important this teaching is. So it's good that all of these concerns are well addressed, and Brother Chinedun has been optimal in doing that. May the good Lord bless us in Jesus' mighty name. This time we are going to call on the song leader to give us a hymn, and then the mic will go to Brother Sonny Ubona to commit this teaching that we have heard into God's hands, and that it should yield fruit of righteousness to the glory of God in Jesus' name. And after that, we are going to have the announcer who will come up and give us the information of the church. Thank you.
Glory shall be on our feet as we sing hymn number 343. 6 times be holy. After the tune, we shall sing the first and the last verses. Take time to be holy, speak holy thy Lord. Take time to be holy, speak holy thy Lord. And by we on his word. May praise of God to those who love me. For against me, the blessings to see. Take time to be holy, come down God's own. If the night is morning, let is but long. Lord, led by my spirit, to partake of Lord. Lord, through God be risen, once and peaceable.
Shall we pray, brethren? Our most high God in heaven, we thank you, Almighty, for having brought us together to worship you this morning in spirit and in truth. Father, we thank you for your word that has gone out through your Son, Almighty God. Our brother Chinedun has talked to us this morning on how to get better day by day in serving you, Almighty God. Our Father and our God in heaven, may you continue to be with him, continue to give him more wisdom, Father, so that you will continue to proclaim your word wherever he goes, Almighty. Our Father and our Lord in heaven, one of the reasons why we come here is to get better every day, oh Lord, or anytime we come before you. Our God in heaven, help us to know what we have done today, to add in our lives, that will continue to make amends wherever we are coming to Christ. Father, until we give you glory. Thank you for all you have done for us. Continue to be with us. And we will continue to be your way on the days of our lives. For in Jesus' mighty name we pray.
Amen. Good morning, brethren.
And good morning to our visitors who have found time to worship with us this morning. Good to see our